Several high school students and more ran over outside the high school.
I've got a total of 6 with one count.
Updates and full team coverage next.
Protecting Oklahoma voters.
Exclusive analysis for the National Investigative Unit finds security gaps in election websites across the country. We're here at a nationwide event to ask election officials why those gaps haven't been fixed.
Snow on the way, the newest timeline and when the heaviest will fall for you.
Live, local, late breaking. This is KOCO 5 News at 10.
Good evening. We start tonight with some heartbreaking updates from Moore. I'm Evan Onstott.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Shambach. At least one high school student is dead tonight and several others seriously hurt after they were hit by a truck this afternoon.
At least one patient is going to be a student run over by a vehicle, possibly multiple patients.
They are requesting multiple units. Multiple kids have been run over by a car.
Tonight we have full team coverage about this tragic event for you. Abigail Ogle, Aaron Bew, Paris Jones, all standing by with live updates. We want to begin our team coverage with KOCO's Abigail Ogle.
She is live at the scene of the crash tonight. And Abby, you are learning more about that victim tonight.
Jess, Evan, I have just confirmed that the cross-country athlete who was killed here today outside of Moore High School is Rachel Freeman. I want to show you this video we have of her doing what she loved most. She was actually just recently highlighted by our friends at the Moore Monthly. She told them that she loved the sport, she had fallen in love with cross-country, and she wanted to go to college to major in physical therapy. Jess, Rachel, unfortunately, was killed today doing what she loved most.
She seemed like just a vibrant young lady. So many questions still unanswered right now. Abby, what are we learning about the man who was arrested?
That's one of the biggest questions I'm hearing out here is why? Why would something like this happen? We are getting some more information on that suspect just in. His name is Max Townsend, 57 years old. We also found this mugshot from several years ago of Max Townsend. Now, police say he was found 4 to 5 blocks from this crime scene from the school in that red truck you're seeing in the video. Tonight, he has been arrested on several complaints, including manslaughter and leaving the scene of an accident. And this also just in from my sources, a little bit of an eerie connection here. You may remember a deadly rollover crash from Moore yesterday near Buck Thomas Park. A 28-year-old man was killed in that crash. Tonight, sources confirming to me that man was the son of today's suspect. Quickly, before we go, I want to show you the scene because it's still extremely active. Here we are, 7 hours later. Police here telling me it's going to be like this until the morning. Several roads shut down. They say it's simply because the crime scene is so long and there were so many victims impacted today. My first job was here in Moore. It's bringing back memories being at the stadium, and I'm just I'm heartbroken for the community tonight. Reporting live, Abigail Ogle, KOCO 5 News, Moore Strong.
Abby, thanks very much. A difficult day for a lot of people. And technically there were 2 scenes, or one really big one, depending on how you look at it. It's one at the school where the students were hit, and then the other one was in a neighborhood really just 2, 3, 4 blocks away. KOCO's Aaron Bew was at the scene, spoke to multiple witnesses today, and she continues our team coverage tonight.
I spoke to 3 students who were all crying and just emotionally distraught. One of them tells me her boyfriend saw the whole thing and tried to chase that suspect down.
So we just looked over and we saw people laying in the street.
A girl is dead. A loud banging noise.
That's how these students are describing the deadly hit and run.
You know, we think it's a safe place, and apparently it's not.
This student's boyfriend says he watched the whole thing happen.
He was screaming and crying, trying to help as much as he could.
But when he watched the driver speed away from the scene, he decided to follow the suspect.
He was screaming in the phone, you know, I could hear his voice cracking. I could tell he was crying.
She says he called her while they were right behind the suspect. Then
the guy ran him off the road into a house.
Police took the suspect into custody shortly after that.
It was really scary.
It breaks my heart that it was some of my classmates.
It made me cry as soon as I heard about it.
Reporting in Moore, Aaron Bew, KOCO 5 News.
Aaron, thank you very much. Hurting, heartbroken. Once again, it is the Moore community that is left reeling from tragedy.
KOCO's Paris Jones wrapping up our team coverage this evening tonight with a call, Paris, to show support for family and friends.
Yeah, Jess, that's right. Just from the people I've talked to today, you can kind of get a sense that they want you to keep everyone involved, the students, the parents, the entire student body here at Moore High School, and also just the entire Moore community in your thoughts and prayers after this devastating tragedy.
This community's strong and we're resilient, and but it's tough. It's tough. It gets kind of old to have to deal with stuff like this, and my heart is hurting and broken.
Heartbroken is how many and more are feeling tonight.
We just hope and pray that everybody gets better, and that there's some solace out there for the for the family whose child was killed.
Glenn Lewis tells me in his years as the mayor of Moore, he's seen it all, from the 2013 tornado and even the Murrah bombing. But he says this may be one of the worst tragedies he's lived through.
Anytime it has to do with children, it really is. I mean, how do you explain how this happened to a parent?
And at tonight's city council meeting, a moment to pay respect to the families.
Before we start off tonight, I would like to take a moment of silence for the victims and for the families and the friends and the first responders for the night, and we appreciate them. So please observe a moment of silence.
It was important for us to do that tonight, just to, in whatever way we could, just to show our support for those families and our thoughts and prayers.
In Moore, Paris Jones, KOCO 5 News.
Of course, we'll be following this story for you as new information comes to light. You can find all the latest updates, even when we aren't live on the air, on the KOCO 5 mobile app.
Let's talk some weather right now. A winter storm watch in effect already for parts of the state.
Chief Meteorologist Damon Lane in with us in studio. Damon, you're tracking some snow.
Yeah, this time tomorrow night, we're certainly going to be seeing snow moving in. So here's what you need to know right now. 10:06 on this Monday night. We've expanded the winter storm watch down to the south and farther to the east. So now it pretty much goes from southwestern Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, up into northeastern Oklahoma. I expect that this will be upgraded to a winter storm warning by tomorrow morning. So make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, KOCO 5 News in the morning. Meteorologist Jonathan Condor will have the latest, but this is the newest timeline. The snow this time tomorrow night making its way into western Oklahoma, Elk City, down towards Hollis, and then spreads towards the metro shortly after midnight. And once it begins, it's going to be quite heavy. Because it is so cold outside, this is going to be all snow for us from Ponca City to Oklahoma City, western Oklahoma. And by Wednesday morning, you're waking up and there's already a good amount of snow on the ground. So brand new snowfall data coming in. Coming up in just a few minutes, I'll show you where the heaviest is now expected to fall. Back to you.
It'll be quite the change for us. Damon, thank you. Tonight, lawmakers prepping for the first full day of the 2020 legislative session.
It began today at noon. The governor speaking to the House and Senate together. You might have watched it here on KOCO. The governor laying out his biggest goals this year, and then Democrats also responding with their goals today.
KOCO's Capitol reporter Dylan Richards has that story for us.
The greatest challenge before us today is instead government bureaucracy. In my first year of public service and as the chief executive, I have found government too big and too broken.
For that reason, Stitt says he wants to combine some agencies, cut red tape at others. Comes as revenues are slightly down from last year. In the State of the State today, Stitt wanting to expand Medicaid through a block grant program.
No one who is currently eligible will lose coverage. Actually, more than 180,000 Oklahomans would gain coverage under Sooner Care 2.0.
Democrats concerned about that.
This is not an Oklahoma plan. This is a D.C. plan. This is something that the Trump administration is rolling out and using Oklahoma as a guinea pig for.
Tribal gaming also a hot topic. The governor and heads of the state's most powerful tribal nations facing off in federal court, even as the tribes promise to keep paying their gaming fees. The governor asking lawmakers to cover those fees, perhaps if the state doesn't accept them.
As governor, I remain supportive of the sovereignty of the state of Oklahoma and our right and your duty as the legislature to oversee all industries operating in the state.
Legislature expected to hit the ground running when they're back in session tomorrow morning. At the Capitol, Dylan Richards, KOCO 5 News.
Still to come, protecting Oklahomans. We're talking election security, a major topic as we head into Commitment 2020.
Right after the break, KOCO investigates just how vulnerable county websites are to election hacks.
And if you have a story for us, we want to hear from you. KOCO 5 newsroom number on your screen right now, 405-475-5555. You could also send us those ideas on Facebook or Twitter.
This April marks 25 years since the Murrah building bombing. 168 people died. And in these 168 days that are leading up to April 19th, we want to remember those who were there. Today, we remember Valerie Jo Kolsch. She was killed. And we honor those who survived and thank the first responders whose lives were also changed forever.